Thanks for joining our Oracle Integration Customers Success webcast series. In case you missed one of our webcasts, on-demand recordings are available. For details, please see our integration newsletter. Today's webcast is live and we are recording. Please welcome your host, Daryl Eichner.
Thank you very much, Jürgen, and thank you all for joining us. It's a great pleasure to be able to host you again as part of the Customer Success webcast series. Today, we're really excited. We've got a transformation story rooted in ERP modernization that really focuses on the automation and innovation around the agile finance process. And Amanda from Discover Financial Services and Brian Hatfield are both going to walk us through the executive and architectural view of what that transformation looks like, how to build out that team, and how to architect for that kind of scale and growth that their team is focused on. Manny and Amit from Accenture are the hands-on folks that are part of that extended team and really help bring the technology to the business and pull it all together. I'm your host. Doug Dietrich is going to handle our Q&A, and of course, Jürgen Kress, our product management lead on this one, will be a big part of this as well. So thank you for joining. One of the things that just wanted to start out with real quickly is kind of why do folks look at process innovation? What are we doing here? And we're going to look for some of these questions from you, from Amanda, from Brian, from this conversation throughout. We're looking at reducing costs, of course. We're looking at simplifying workflows. We're looking at iterating quickly. And a lot of these themes, I think we're going to see loud and clear today. So let's put this in a little bit of context. We've got main streams of activities in any enterprise. And the challenge with digital business, of course, is whether it's recruit to pay or requisition to receipt, or whether it has to do with lead to invoice. These are processes that are end-to-end processes. They tend to cross multiple systems, have applications and data. And as Amanda and the team will go through, this isn't a one app, one technology problem. This is a multi-cloud, multi-app challenge that we all need to work through. And in this case, we're going to focus on those ERP related processes and in agile finance. And so what does that look like? It's a bunch of individual processes, each one of which has its own set of applications potentially. And it's the ability to pull the analytics, the applications into an end-to-end process that makes for an engaging user experience. And this is really what we're here to talk about today, and to follow the journey and the learnings of Discover Financial under Amanda and Brian's leadership here. Let's take a look at the agenda here real quickly. We've just wrapped on the introductions. We will now have some announcements from Jürgen, then we'll go into the case study itself, get into some live demos, take a look at how this actually all plays out. Then we're going to end with your questions, and we really want to make sure that we get to those and that there's some polls in the end as well. So we want to learn from you as we go. With that, I will turn it over to the great Jürgen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daryl. We would like to invite you to attend Oracle Cloud World 2022. The conference takes place from October 16 to 20th in Las Vegas. Make sure you visit the integration team at the demo ground and contact us for one-to-one meetings. Registration is open. Please visit oracle.com/cloudworld. On September 15th, we will introduce the next version of Oracle Integration. Generation 3 is built in a cloud-native microservice architecture. The most visible change is the Redwood user interface. Join our quarterly office hour to get the details. We are looking forward to welcome you September 15th, 8 o'clock San Francisco time or 5 p.m. Paris time. If you would like to try Oracle Integration, it's part of the free trial program. and you can access it for up to 30 days, free of charge on top of the free tier program. Make use of the documentation and the training material. If you build a prototype, we offer different training materials based on your skills as a business user, developer, or admin. And we have introduction, basic training material, and business patterns. For details, please see the documentation, which includes the training material. Who are the integration experts who can support your customer project? System integrators like Accenture implement 8 out of the top 10 Oracle integration projects. So make sure you choose a certified partner with OIC references to replicate your success. At Partner Finder, you can search for certified partners. Accenture is the leading partner with more than certified implementation experts. At Oracle Cloud Marketplace, you can search for applications. For example, third-party adapters from Avanco or pre-built adapters from ISVs. Questions need support. At Oracle Cloud Customer Connect, you can post your questions. You can also suggest innovations and you can earn badges. So please join the collaboration platform Oracle Cloud Customer Connect. Today's webcast is live and a recording with slides will be published at Oracle Video Hub. For more information and regular updates, please subscribe to the quarterly product management newsletter, which includes the latest events, success stories, white papers, and upcoming trainings.
With these brief updates, I would like to introduce the Discoverer Financial Service team, Amanda Kreuzinger, Vice President, and Brian Hatfield, Senior Manager. Thanks and welcome to the webcast.
Thank you for having Brian and I here. First of all, we're excited to share a little bit more of our success story, which after 2 successful quarter closes, we are officially saying success at this point. No more crossing our fingers or knocking on wood. We know that it works on our new Oracle Cloud platform, so we're quite proud of sharing our story. Just a little background on Discover for those of you that aren't familiar with us. We are a leading digital financial services provider. So we have a range of products, including our credit card with our cashback bonus rewards program, which is our signature program that extends to our other banking products as well, including Discover Personal Lending, Student Lending, Home Loans, and our checking and debit products. We all are also unique operator of Discover Global Network, and that includes our Pulse ATM debit network, Discover Network, and Diners International. So we have our own payment network in addition to be an issuing bank. At Discover, our mission is to help people spend smarter, manage debt better, and save more to achieve a brighter financial future. So the customer is at the forefront of everything that we do. Those connected user experiences are key, and extending to everything, including our corporate services, finance, technology as well, which is what we'll dive into a little bit more today, however brief. I can share a little bit of an overview of our program, and then I will let Brian walk everyone through more of the details on our design approach. But I want to just start with a little bit of scope of what we did and why we're so proud. Our program was the modernization of our financial accounting and planning systems. We launched on January 1st of this year. We affectionately referred to our program as MAPS, which is the modernization of our accounting processes and systems. And this was key because we didn't just do a like for like, we really simplified our processes as we did this migration. As part of this, we replaced our 35-year-old set of general ledger and planning systems. There were a number of systems included in this, and so all of those got migrated over to now our Oracle Cloud platform. Our migration took 22 months, start to finish. Through this, we created a one-team approach. So we partnered incredibly closely with Accenture and Oracle, the technology organization, which is within my hierarchy, partnered very closely with our finance business partners. So all of this was one team. I think in other organizations, you see it kind of being led either through technology or through the business. We made sure up front that this was one team approach. We were going to do this together from start to finish. And that's a key factor to our success. Our migration included also the successful build of data preparation and staging, what we refer to as our cloud data fabric. Brian will go into a little bit more detail on this. But this is where we staged the source system feeds from 75 different source systems. We also standardized over 1,200 reporting data attributes as part of this. Another key factor was the migration of 5 years of historical data so that all of our finance analysts had that data available in the new platform for planning and forecasting. Prior to completing our migration, another key factor was standing up our independent product team structure. So this was another critical factor for us so that we could ensure that we were self-sustaining, having the ability to maintain and enhance the cloud platform, not having such a strong reliance on either our systems implementation partner or the vendor as we move forward. And this allows us to continue to invest, get the value realization out of the platform. We're now taking the monthly enhancements. We have a team of engineers and administrators that are part of this product team, supporting those enhancements, ensuring that they are fully regression tested, as well as diving into additional functionality that we can take advantage of on the cloud platform as we move forward. So you see with this slide a few of the key products that we've leveraged. However, the primary application suite that we implemented was Oracle ERP, Oracle EPM, and then ARCS for reconciliation. When we talk about results, the first line here is really looking at the migration and what we did. We took over 105 data feeds, 7 on-prem systems that were siloed from several different vendors. So it wasn't as if we just took one 35-year-old system and moved it over. It was 7 different distinct solutions and moved that into our Oracle Cloud Application Suite, which was those 3 primary applications, and reduced the number of data feeds to 75, built out the Cloud Data Fabric, which is our staging area, and then allowed that interface back into our chart of account systems. So this translated to, if you can click again a minute, there's a fun animation here on all of the results. I won't go through all of these details, but I did want to reiterate the simplification approach that we took as we did this. This allowed us to look at the processes that we leveraged for posting, as well as our chart of account configuration. And so you can see a couple of things highlighted here. We did retire over 300,000 posting roles when we did this migration. We also took the opportunity to simplify our chart of accounts, which creates an incredible efficiency from a maintenance perspective as we go forward. And that simplification reduced the number of cost centers by 74%. And then we retired over 53% of the accounts as part of that simplification as well. I think this was another critical success factor for us. We didn't just look at this as a like-for-like technology. This allows us to maintain the systems in a simpler approach as we go forward and provide more value back to the finance organization, ultimately serving our business partners. I hope this provides a little bit of a high-level overview. I feel like we only have a short time, so tried to keep it brief. I'm going to turn it over to Brian, and he can walk you through the design approach and a little bit more details on that. But we are sticking around for questions, so please feel free to post questions in the chat, and we can make sure to spend time on that as well. Brian, over to you.
Thank you, Amanda. Good morning, everyone. Hopefully I'm coming through clearly. Yeah. I'm Brian Hatfield, Senior Manager, IT Engineering at Discover. I want to give you a little bit about my role before I go into our actual implementation to touch on a couple of things that Amanda had already mentioned. I joined our finance modernization program about 2.5 years ago. That was before any build tests had even started. At that time, I was brought in to lead the team responsible for the sourcing of data from across the company, processing it through our recently modernized cloud data platform, and preparing it for our transmission to Oracle environment. By the time we were ready to go live on January 1st of this year, we had streamlined our operating model to better support the changing financial system landscape and had migrated to a more modern product team structure. This gave me more oversight and ownership of the full flow of data, including the sourcing of data sets from source systems, the Oracle modules we had implemented and their processing, and the flow of all that data full circle back into our data warehouse. My goal today is to give you a little insight into the design and execution of our Oracle implementation and why we made some of the decisions that we did. Anytime you replace a 35-year-old mainframe application like our legacy general ledger, you can expect to face many challenges. All the duct tape and bubble gum that secretly held the systems together suddenly becomes apparent. Our partnership with Accenture helped us work through those challenges and organize, design, and execute a solution that can handle our various data considerations quickly and efficiently. One of our key goals throughout the program was to use out-of-the-box capabilities and avoid customization within Oracle. Building from the ground up gave us an opportunity to simplify our architecture, creating a robust solution that meets our enterprise control requirements and enhance our growing data needs. Our legacy GL was fed by 105 distinct data feeds from across 48 source systems, with each occurring on its own cadence. This forced the system into daily batching model in order to be able to reconcile data for an entire day. Data would land, be pre-processed when possible, and sit until that day's batch would kick off late in the evening. Our finance organization would not see the results until they came in the following morning. Our migration to Oracle allowed us to remove those bottlenecks, processing data feeds as they become available, in some cases a full day earlier than the legacy solution. Better yet, we were able to increase transparency and monitoring for each data set, having implemented data feed monitoring dashboards showing the timing and progress of each data feed through its processing lifecycle, including its transmission to and back from our Oracle instances. Alerts can be generated when key data sets are not received within expected and agreed upon time windows. Additionally, we've implemented improved data quality monitors to ensure that the data received from the source systems is transmitted completely and without issue. We also improved our testing capabilities, creating a full-featured testing environment, enabling us to test our changes as well as the changes of source systems end-to-end, ensuring no unexpected impacts to our financial systems. So let's dig a little deeper into the actual implementation. In our legacy implementation, some source systems sent their data directly to the GL. Others sent their data to our preprocessors, and others yet sent their data to us through our enterprise data warehouse. Even small changes required significant research to identify system owners and to find available resources with the knowledge of the various systems and processes. And there was also a lot of praying that any changes that were made wouldn't break anything downstream. Building a new implementation gave us the opportunity to rethink our data flow from the ground up. We introduced a standard pipeline having all systems, both internal and external, send their data through a common secure file transfer platform, as shown here on the left. This gives us a centralized control for the flow of data, allows for a simplified data transmission troubleshooting, and the ability to resend data should something go wrong. From there, our data sets land in a secure Amazon account where we're leveraging an enterprise intake process for registration of data sets, execution of basic data validation tasks, and most importantly, tokenization of critical risk attributes. This is all what Amanda referred to as our cloud data fabric. Being a financial institution, we're highly risk averse, so ensuring data security and control is absolutely critical for us. As shown in the middle, once the data sets have been registered, they pass through an ETL process to isolate the data needed for accounting and to remove unneeded records and attributes. Doing this minimizes data payloads, expedites file transmission to Oracle, and limits exposure of non-essential data. Moving towards the right side of the diagram, inbound OIC integrations are continually monitoring for new files. When a file is identified, OIC begins the orchestration of pulling the files from our file transfer platform, pushing them to ERP, calling the ERP import processes, and finally, the removal of the file from our file transfer platform once it's been fully ingested, since we know it's already been completed. This inbound integration was designed to be flexible enough to process all 75 data feeds while not adding significant time to the processing of data. Once imported, the data flows to the accounting hub, where accounting rules are executed and the results are ultimately published to the general ledger. Following the flow back towards the center of the diagram, to meet our broader enterprise data needs, we've configured OIC integrations that orchestrate the creation of output data sets which securely transmit data back to our AWS instance, following the same intake process within Cloud Data Fabric. Finally, across the bottom, the raw data from source systems is joined to the data received back from the general ledger, and that enriched data set is transmitted to the ARCS module for reconciliation. All of this occurs file by file basis as they are individually processed in near real time. Not specifically pictured in the diagram, but all of the data which passes through our AWS environment is made available for enterprise reporting and audit purposes. And the source system data is available for consumption by various lines of business through our source data warehouse. Overall, this successful implementation provides us with many advantages over our legacy system and ensures we have the right data available at the right time. Having a centralized enterprise ingestion method allows us to create standardized dataset formats with streamlined content and efficient transmission. It provides a layer for enterprise data handling that meets our corporate data security guidelines for tokenization of sensitive information. Raw data from source systems, data prepared for transmission to Oracle, and data from the Oracle platform are all stored in a centralized location for enterprise reporting and business intelligence purposes. Within our Oracle environment, we successfully implemented a solution that uses 100% out-of-the-box capabilities, minimizing implementation time for new data sets and simplifying knowledge transfer and support. All of this ensures that data is reusable for other business and enterprise purposes. It is traceable, simplifying lineage and source systems all the way through financial processing and includes monitoring and notification capabilities. And it's auditable, allowing us to provide data at all points of enrichment throughout its lifecycle. And with that, I'll pass you over to Amit Singh to discuss best practices, lessons learned from our implementation. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Amanda. One thing that I certainly agree that it was really a badgeless team that made the program success. Whether it's Accenture, Oracle, or Discover, we all work towards the common goal, successful implementation of MAPS program. A little bit about myself. My name is Amit Singh. I'm the integration lead for Accenture. Work closely with Jürgen, and I was proud technology lead for the MAPS program. Work closely day in, day out with Brian and Amanda. Steered the project from the get-go when we were designing and how we leveraged our assets to bring to the table to do the quick, whether it was an MVP product or it was a Sprint Zero activity, where we wanted to show the integrations and see that how the data will be all integrated between this multi-cloud environment, right? As you saw that with Brian showed how AWS cloud and how Oracle cloud was all working together. So it was a great learning, and especially using our assets helped us to meet the timeline and expedite the build process. So let's get into the some of the things that we hear a lot, and especially around Oracle PaaS. This slide kind of sums it all from the Oracle PaaS perspective. What we see in the market, people just talk about that I have ERP cloud, I'm doing HCM cloud, I'm doing CX cloud. But then there's the bigger piece of puzzle there, how these systems will integrate, right? So the first piece is that how these systems will integrate. You have to use integration, which is the iPaaS. There are business processes that you want to automate. You use the Oracle Process Cloud, again, part of your PaaS, Oracle OIC PaaS suite. Then there are questions that how am I going to visualize it from different applications, right? How are you going to mix and match in reporting? You use Oracle Analytics Cloud. How do you manage your APIs? Again, the API management is now an integral part of OCI. So we do have a lot of assets around how we can deliver faster API management and the full cycle of API, right from the design to build and deploy. And there are some scenarios, although all the business, and as Amanda and Brian said, that the biggest focus that we had at Discover, we wanted to implement as much as out of the box with aligning the business processes to standard. And we didn't have any extensions that we built at Discover. So that was a win, I would say. But there are situations where customers have unique scenarios, and we do bring in a lot of PaaS extensions that we have built out other places, which will streamline the process of SaaS, because it kinds of embeds within the SaaS application without giving you any trouble that you have to log in, with all seamless integration with the same UI feature of SaaS. And then last but not least, sometimes there are voluminous data, right? So Oracle Data Integration Cloud is another solution which we should leverage. This kind of slide sums it all, where we bring PaaS along with SaaS. Moving on to the next slide. This is our asset that is Oracle Integration Cloud Insight. And this is something that we leveraged at Discover as well. This is a new feature of Oracle Integration Cloud. I haven't seen a lot of customers using it, but wherever we are implementing, we are making sure that we bring in the value of Insight to our customers. What it does is it allows you to model a business process, all the milestones within that, and gives you a centralized view that where exactly my data is, right? And there are long-running processes, especially when we are talking about Accounting Hub. You are importing the data, you are starting the integration, you are creating the accounting, you are starting the backfeed, and then you are sending back the data. All those steps are important to know, and it doesn't require any new development. This is something as an inbuilt feature of OIC, which you can just configure it and you get the insight, and that's the apt name of it, right? Insight. You get the insight into your integrations, your data flow, real time, where the data is, and just look at it. You can export it. There are different dashboards that are provided out of the box. You can monitor the data. You can store the data as well, and different milestones can be monitored. So I'll quickly jump into the demo of this. So I'll show you how exactly it all works. So in Oracle Integration Cloud, when we go into Oracle Integration Cloud, you see that there's a Insight. And when we go to the Insight, so you go to Insight, you kind of model the Insight, right? You create the model where you're gonna configure it, at what exactly the milestones are, you map it. And the best thing is, you don't have to do it. If you haven't done it at your existing integrations, you can always come back and later do it. So it doesn't need to be done at the design time of your actual integration or build integration. You can come in and design this analytics later after your integration is running. So you define your milestones, you can map the integrations based on the milestones, based on unique key, and it will tie back all the integrations together. So if you have 5 services, service 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all those services, you can track them in under one dashboard. Only thing is that they should have a common linking, right, along with what they are being linked together. So let's go to the console, right? Once we model it, you deploy it, you can see that where the integrations are, where exactly the milestone is happening. So it will show you last 5 days of data, whether the integration has started, how many of them are success, how many of them import accounting success. And you can also see I have some failure as well. You can go to the additional days, you can select on that, you can filter on them. It will say that there are 2 accounting failures that happen, right? So, and then it will give you daily chart, how many milestones are happening, which day, how many failures are happening. Not only that, you can also do an extract of it, right? Sometimes people want to see that where exactly my data is. Can I export it into an Excel sheet? Yes, you can export it into a file, send it over it. You can do some reporting on top of it. So all that is part of the Oracle Insight. There are different dashboards here, right, around the errors. These are all default out-of-the-box dashboards that comes with Oracle Insight. And this was something that we leveraged during our testing. And even after we went live, this is something that was leveraged again and again. This was one page where our monitoring team or support team can go to, and they have it all the time up to look at it where exactly the data is. This is something on top of notifications and everything that we create. So again, the best part that I liked about is that we could implement this even for the integrations that you have built. And this is something that I would advise for all the integrations wherever you have need monitoring. I know OIC, you can monitor it, but then the challenge there is that you have to go into each integration and look at it. This gives a business view, an aggregated view of the integrations, where exactly in the journey they are. I'll move on to the next asset, which is another tool which really helps us, kind of gives you the error handling and resubmission feature of enhance the OIC features, right? So OIC has real-time integrations. You can log the integration, you can view the integration. You need to purge the integrations after a certain amount of time in production. What we found very useful is, and a lot of customers wherever we have implemented, the ability to integrate the resubmission capability, right? So with OIC, what we did is we built an extension using VBCS and database ATP. We built an error handling mechanism, which is a set of OIC services that gives us a jump start directly when we go into a new project. We use these services and it provides us the error handling, it provides the notification capability, provides the resubmission capability. So wherever we are doing implementation and we need these capabilities and customers have ATP and VBCS implementation, this is a tool that we recommend at every place to go through. So we'll jump into quickly a quick view of the demo of this tool. So this is an integration that this is an advanced integration resubmission tool that we developed. What it shows us, again, the architecture here is it is built on VBCS with an ATP behind the scene. The main key features of this tool is that it provides you ability to monitor your instances, right? Where you have running instances, it provides the ability to resubmit the instances, and it also provides the ability to track some of the outbound integrations where you are not using OIC. So we've also built a plugin that it can directly plug into your Oracle SaaS and monitor how many outbound BI integrations are running, right? So it can look at that as well and give you one consolidated view for users. This has been very helpful for the support team because the biggest challenge that I see here at implementation is that clients look at it and they're scrambling that where exactly my integration is, my data is lost, I've purged it, there is no traceability. So for that, we recommend to use the Oracle integration, this resubmission tool. I'll give you a little bit of background here, right? So what we do here, this is a little different. You have to do this at the time of design time, right? So the first tool that we showed, which is Oracle Insight, that can be plugged in even after you have done the implementation. But to implement automation, advanced integration resubmission, you have to take care at the design time, basically make sure all the milestones are there and implemented. So you configure your applications. These are boundary systems. You configure register your services, what all services that you want. And then once you register your services, you can configure what's the enterprise ID, what's the source application, what's the target application, what are the search parameters that you want to enable your search capability, right? You can select your primary IDs on which you want to enable search capability. Whether you want to enable logging, whether you want to enable success notification, error notification, attachments, whether you want to take the attachments or not. So all those things are configurable, right? If I want to switch off my logging, I can just switch off and it will stop logging my data into the database. If I want to enable automated resubmission, I can do that as well. So all those configurations, once you configure it, you can see the integrations which are running last 5 days. You can go back and you can track more integrations which are errored out with the error code and more details that you want. You can So you'll also have the resubmission status, how many times it has been resubmitted, that you can show here. The other good feature that I like about is the automated reprocessing. You can define the automated reprocessing based on the error keyword, right? With a pipe delimited, you can define that you want this error to be resubmitted. You can enable it based on the integration, and it will look at the errors and it will automatically resubmit it with the number of retries that you want to have. This has been very helpful where you have batch processing and overnight jobs are failing. There are specific errors, you look at it and it automatically resubmits those integrations for you. Last but not the least, some outbound BI capability that we have done. So one thing that you see in SaaS, where you have to go and look at the scheduled jobs in SaaS, what you can do here using this configuration, you can configure it and it will actually look up the BI jobs that are running in SaaS. And at one place, you can manage the status, whether it's success or failure, look at it from one place. So that's about the integration resubmission tool that we have. And this has been used at multiple places, multiple integration customers that we have implemented, and very helpful. With that, I will hand it over to Mani to talk about some of our service offerings.
Yeah, thank you, Amit, for that lovely demo. And thank you, Amanda and Brian, for sharing that amazing Discover story. Hi, everyone. This is Mani Shankar here. I lead the Oracle Tech-R group at Accenture. I'm going to talk about how at Accenture we have standardized integrations, and most of these pre-built integrations are now available as assets. So to give you an idea, right, we have over 250 pre-built integrations using Oracle Integration Cloud. And these are spread across different tracks, record to report, which is all your, GL and finance integrations, order to cash, everything that deals with auto management, getting the data into the account receivables, your payment data into, receipts data and all of that stuff. And then plan to build track, which is very complex. Some of the complex integrations are in the plan to build area, where it deals with planning, sending it for manufacturing related integrations and all those as well. Service to repair, which is all your subscription management integrations, which is relatively a new module in Oracle Cloud. So we have built a number of integrations in the service to repair area as well, field servers, integrating subscription management with CBIL and other systems as well. Procure to pay, which is all your procurement related integrations. So for each of these tracks, what we have done is we have come up with a reference architecture, design patterns that we have standardized over a large number of implementations that we have done so far, right? Along with this, we have over 60 HCM pre-built integrations as well. We have over 100 cloud HCM pre-built extracts, the 30 CX pre-built integrations, the ones I was talking about, the subscription management. Those integrations are related to the service to repair track. And then we have another tool called IDM, which is an intelligent data migration. We use this asset to accelerate the data conversion cycles, right? So we have pre-built extracts, which we have done from EBS side, and we automated the entire cycle to get that data, integrate that, and upload that into Oracle Cloud. So that is one of the assets that we use in our in most of our implementations. So if you look at the solution lifecycle, from architecture perspective, we use solution blueprints, the reference architectures, the design patterns that we have standardized. We use all these pre-built integrations to accelerate it, the delivery of the integrations. The integration dashboard that Amit had demonstrated, we use that for, of course, making sure you can, it's just an enhancement over Oracle Integration Cloud. So it does all that reprocessing. It just improves the efficiency of managing your integrations. Automation is done. The deployment is done using DevOps. Again, we have an asset and accelerator out there. We have test automation tools for doing performance testing, using JMeter. Then we have other test automation scripts that we use to automatically test your integrations after every upgrade. We already talked about the pre-built deliverables integrations out here, right? So most of these integrations that we have developed are all built using pre-built common services as well, right? So it's very standard, across the board. The solution area coverage is, conversions are all covered, integrations, PaaS for SaaS, and most of these assets that we have built are using the Oracle Integration Cloud, right? So Oracle Integration Cloud, of course, helps us to have that low-code approach because we are using ERP Cloud Adapter. We are using the various adapters that Oracle Integration Cloud already provides. One thing I can tell you is that whatever we used to, as an effort, we used to spend like about 3 to 4 weeks developing a supply chain integration, mostly around the order to cash and plan to build tracks. Now it takes just about under a week to using our pre-built integrations to sort of modify for the particular requirement and then get it up and running. As I mentioned, the coverage is across the board on the Oracle Cloud side, supply chain, HCM, CX, right? And any new modules that are coming up, we are making sure we have pre-built integrations created in that space as well. And from third-party cloud systems and boundary systems, we have a coverage across most of the boundary systems, that we have seen so far. The very common ones like Coupa, there are multiple boundary systems out there. So with this, I would hand it over to Jürgen for the wrap-up.
Thanks for the excellent presentations and demos. To summarize it, there are multiple integration resources available. Visit the Oracle Integration website for more information and use the free trial to get access to the Oracle Integration Cloud. The integration newsletter keeps you updated on a quarterly basis with the latest product information and events. Visit Discover Financials website and take a look at the career opportunities. At the Accenture website, you'll find details about the service offerings and the pre-built assets. With this, over to Doug Dietrich for questions and answers.
Okay, perfect. So there was an active Q&A going in the background there, and I thank the people in the background for answering the questions. There's a few left on the Q&A that I'll throw out to the group here. One from Joseph. He's asking, how do you ensure safety of your data storage, and under what circumstances would you share your information with a third party?
So I can, I'm assuming this is for Discover?
I would think so, yes. Thank you.
So I'm not clear on what information in regards to sharing with a third party that was being referenced, but in terms of safety of data storage, Brian alluded to this, but the design was very focused on data security, especially in the cloud. And so that really was rooted in our tokenization process of all of our critical and highly sensitive data, which is tokenized before it enters into the cloud, and as it comes back through Discover, is detokenized. And that was key to our data security strategy. Brian, anything else you'd add?
I mean, you hit the major point there. I think when the question here about sharing the information with a third party, my guess would be the question is around when would we be allowed to post our data to a third party, for example, Oracle. We have a lot of data security teams that we involve to make sure that before we release anything to a third party, we understand what is the potential exposure of our data at that third party. So before we put our data into the Oracle SaaS solution, we worked with our infrastructure control, data security teams, info security, all of those to just ensure that we understood what is the risks and that the destination third party is capable of securely storing our data.
Okay, great. Thanks for that insight there. There was a question here about, is AIR an Accenture tool? And it looks like Ratish has already answered that. Yes, that is an Accenture asset. It was built on top of Oracle Integration Cloud, Visual Builder, and the autonomous transaction processing. Joe had another question here. Which are some of the legal hurdles have you what are some of the legal hurdles you have had to overcome during the implementation phase of your applications? And I'm assuming, again, that's a Discover question, but maybe it's in general for Accenture when you've done other implementations for applications. I'll do a jump ball there, whoever wants to take that.
So I can start. We didn't have any legal hurdles. And maybe this is more related to compliance. And I would say that as part of our overall testing approach, we included testing of all of our controls, inclusive of SOX controls. Obviously, because of this being our system of record for our financial statements and general ledger. And so that was incorporated into our plan. We partnered really closely with our internal compliance and controls team, as well as a third-party auditor that did that audit prior to us even going live. And so that was a key part of our plan to make sure that that was done well ahead of our first month-end close on the new platform.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. Thanks, Amanda.
Yep.
And yes, we are going to share the presentation slides. So that'll come out. And then I had a couple other ones in here, a few more. I'll put this one out to Brian. I know you've probably tackled many integration projects over your career. So with your work with Accenture and OIC and Accenture, I mean, how much faster would you estimate the integration work is using these tools and a partner like Accenture versus like manual hand coding of these integrations between applications and process flows, that kind of a thing?
Oof. Hard to quantify. I don't have an exact figure of how much more efficient it is or how long it takes. However, I can say that, as I mentioned during my portion of the discussion, we stuck to the out-of-the-box capabilities of Accenture. Of Oracle. Focusing on OIC and the ERP intake really expedites the process because you have a trusted set of rails to work on. It becomes more of a configuration task as opposed to, as you mentioned, the hand coding effort. So it really reduces the time in that respect and lets you focus on ultimately the testing of the process, the testing of the data, and allowing the business to test that the output is as expected.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. Thank you for that, Brian. Okay. Let's see a couple other ones here. I'll put this one out to Amit. So obviously with OIC, there's all the out-of-the-box adapters that come with it and such. But obviously on the one slide there that Monty was showing, you guys have put in a significant investment from an Accenture side into building out additional integrations and recipes. What type of payback are you hoping to achieve from your investment in that work?
Oh, that's a great question, Doug. Yeah, we are already reaping the benefits of it, right? As I mentioned that within a week, and Mani also mentioned, with all these pre-built integrations, we come in with a working model, right? It's not something that you're working with the mapping and everything. These pre-built recipes, they have not just the code behind them, they have the design document, functional design, technical design, along with the mapping document. So you have the working model, you are validating with customers. So it gets to 4x to 5x speed that we are seeing from a regular implementation. These recipes are a game changer for us to speed up the implementation and go to market.
Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't realize it was that you were seeing that much of a benefit. That's great. So that's good for you and it's good for the customer, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We are seeing it. Yep.
Perfect. Okay, that's cool. Money. So there were several references made about the significant speed improvements in developing in OIC and such. My question to you would be, a lot of times when people start embarking on an integration project, it might be a ground up type integration, brand new kind of thing. But then as they start getting into it, they realize, hey, we've got all these other ones that were maybe hand coded or done in another tool or some other way. Let's go ahead and kind of standardize and bring everything into, in this case, OIC. What kind of a speed up would you expect from a brand new integration versus having to re-implement a legacy integration?
Yeah, thanks, Darrell. That's a great question. As Amit also mentioned, we typically see like a 4x to 5x speed and agility is really, really high. And as I said earlier, that Oracle Integration Cloud definitely has that low code approach to it, especially because it has so many adapters, right? You have a number of boundary systems out there, and Oracle Integration Cloud has come up with these adapters to tackle all those integration complexity, right, with those different boundary systems. I think that is one of the biggest benefits we are seeing. And apart from that, of course, we have done a huge investment on Accenture side to come up with these working models with all these design patterns and technical design, the functional documentation, all these delivery patterns that we have. And again, using some of these tools and assets like integration dashboard that Amit just demoed. So all of these together has really helped us, expedite the delivery lifecycle.
Okay, yeah, that's that I would expect that. I love the one slide where it had the kind of the rainbow effect there with all the different things that you put in there. I think that's really impressive. There's a few more that are popping up here that are a little more specific. Let's see, did you use the OIC FTP and connectivity agent for SFTP, or did you use another vendor/service?
We use the OIC SFTP connection adapter, and Discover had their own DFTP site where the files were exchanged. The question was from the adapter perspective, we use the adapter. We didn't use OIC Gen to file server to move the files. We used Discover's DFTP site.
Okay, thank you. Another one that popped up here. Did you guys incorporate Golden Gate as part of the OIC implementation to move data in real time?
No, we didn't use it. That's an IACS, that's a different product.
Okay. And then another one here, just wondering how the cost benefits were calculated when data was consolidated. Does this outweigh the work cost involved in integrating, transforming per se?
Brian, you want to take that? Yeah, go ahead, Amanda.
Yeah, I can start. I think our approach was we didn't do a detailed cost benefit analysis on all of the data attributes. What we did do is take a look at what was all of the data attributes in our source systems, all of those source system feeds. We knew we had to restage it in the cloud data fabric and then re-engineer the posting rules. And so there were key design decisions made up front to simplify wherever possible. We could have just taken exactly what was coming in from those legacy source systems, but as I mentioned, it was 35 years old. And so there was just so much processing overhead associated with what had been built up over those 35 years that it really made just common sense approach to do a clean sweep of those source feeds, make sure that we were only bringing into our new Oracle Cloud platform what was absolutely necessary, and streamlining those posting rules for maintenance.
Yeah, I think that's huge, because you know how it works over time. You get
it was incredibly complex, and
exactly.
I call it like a de-assembly, but like that's really what we had to do. We had to re-engineer so much of what had been built up that when you went through and looked at what's actually live, like what code is actually used here, there was so much opportunity to clean it up.
Yeah, no, that's a huge effort, and you're going to be in such a great place going forward as a result of that work. Yeah, while I'm talking to you, Amanda, I've got one other question. So from an executive perspective, what value do you think the combined partnership between Accenture and Oracle brings to customers?
Yeah, this is a great question. I don't think that we could have been successful without the really accountability on all sides of Oracle, Accenture, and then Discover's joint partnership between business and technology. The Accenture team was with us from the beginning and allowed us to really lay out those key design decisions that became so important as we progressed with development and testing. And without their insights and their previous experiences that they lent to our design decisions, we would have been starting from a completely different place. The other piece that made a huge difference, especially as we started to, as all programs do, run into some trouble, the partnership with Oracle to make sure that we had the right customer success management team, that the right product team was with us, especially through our performance testing, and just reevaluating our design decisions as we went on was key. And so we had a thorough review, multiple reviews actually, prior to go live, to ensure that we weren't missing anything, that anything that they'd learned from other customer implementations was incorporated into our plan, into our go live implementation. And that made a huge difference in our success.
Oh, that's great. I love hearing that, Amanda. Thank you for that insight. And folks, it looks like we're at the top of the hour. Unfortunately, there's a few unanswered questions left over there, but I'd like to thank Daryl and Jürgen for helping put this together from the Oracle side. And Amit and Mani, thank you for your insights from the implementation and the Accenture side. And of course, Brian and Amanda from the Discover side, we appreciate your joining and sharing the insights around this.
Absolutely. I just wanted to say thank you for having us. I will also be at Oracle Cloud World with a large portion of our finance and technology team. And I did also just want to put in a plug. We are always hiring at Discover, including at this in this financial systems organization and that product team I mentioned. So hit me up if anyone is interested. We've created a great team here. So I just want to make sure I put that plug in for Discover as well.
That's great. Happy to accommodate that. So again, everyone, thank you for this. And this is one of many of these kind of webcasts we'll have during the year. So keep an eye out for additional ones that'll be popping up in the calendar year. Again, thank you all and have a good day.